I'm Eric Mason. I'm the director of bands at Buford High School in Georgia, and I'm also a consultant representative for Youth Music of the World. And I am a 5-time participant in the London Parade. I've had plenty of chances to figure this out, and so I'm hoping to get you the information I wish I had had on the first go-round. If you've already done your site visit, you've walked the parade route, you've seen the assembly areas, you've seen where the performance happens, and I'll tell you, it looks pretty different on parade day. Nothing can really prepare you for what it feels like on the 1st of January with all those thousands of people watching and lining the streets. And that's exactly why I made this. This video is designed to be a resource that you can come back to, something to refresh your memory after the site visit that will give you real on-the-ground insight into what the day actually looks like. It might also be fun for your students to see what the event is going to look like on the day of. The footage you see now was filmed on New Year's Day 2026 on the parade route during the parade itself. So this is the real deal. In this video, we're going to walk through the entire day together. We'll start with the pre-parade, the assembly, the warm-up. We'll go through the parade itself, and then we'll talk about the most intimidating part for most of us, which is the performance area at the end. And then we'll talk about the post-parade, and I'll wrap a few things up at the end as well. Whether this is your first time or your 5th time, I hope that this gives you the information that you and your staff need to make you feel prepared on 1st of January. This is Barclay Square. Hopefully you remember it well from your site visit, but I promise you it looks very different on New Year's Day than it does in June. Your coaches will arrive and unload you in the northwest corner of the square, actually just outside the square, and you'll walk down through a gated entrance into the square. No one's allowed in except participants in the parade. Once you walk in, you'll immediately notice on your right that there are restroom facilities all down the west side of the square. They're pretty substantial restroom facilities. They're big trailers and some handicap stalls as well for people. Make sure your kids know where those are and make sure that they go before they start the parade. It can become a long afternoon if you don't go beforehand. The last thing to make note of is that there are 2 photograph areas in the southwest corner of the square. These are group photographs, and you'll see in the video here that there are 4 sets of deep risers. They'll hold most bands without any problem. And they actually set up 2 bands at once so they can go really much faster than we used to when it was only 1 band setup. Warm-up for your group will happen either in the square itself or down Barclay Street, which is it's about a 300-yard road between the square and the actual start of the parade. You'll find out your assigned area when you arrive. You'll know your parade number, and you'll have a card that they hand you that lets you know that as well. You're going to be there for a while. I've been there for as long as 2 or 3 hours, and you want to use your time wisely in there. I've made some mistakes in the past of getting there and getting caught up in the moment and starting to play too much, and then by the time you get to mile 2 of the parade, your kids are worn out. So let's talk through some avoidable mistakes here. Number 1, first, it's likely to be cold. It's likely possible to be rainy as well. And standing still in that square makes it feel colder. The last time we did this trip, we didn't take our Shakos. We actually had custom ear muffs or ear warmers designed for our kids. They're not ear muffs, they were ear warmers. And they wore those, and they also had gloves and warm hats and their coats on in the square. You'll have the ability to drop that stuff off right before the parade begins, and so there's no reason to just come in your uniform. I will also tell you as a top secret insider here that the last time we pre-shipped with our instruments, we shipped hand warmers, so all the kids had hand warmers in their gloves as well. As I said, just before step-off, someone's going to come to you with a big garbage bag that you'll be able to put your coats and gloves and things like that in. Make sure your kids have all their stuff marked with their names, because it's going to be a lot of black gloves in that bag. They should also stick them in their coat pockets. But also make sure that you kids realize that they won't have access to this stuff possibly for several hours, because it will meet you back at the hotel. So don't put your phone in, don't put your wallet in. Anything you might need immediately after the parade, you're going to want to not have in that. I'll tell you, this area is electric before the parade. There's dozens of bands there literally from around the world, and the energy builds and builds, and it's honestly my favorite part of the day as a participant or as a spectator. I love to just walk around that area and listen to people and meet bands. So take the opportunity, if you can, to step away and make some new friends around there. And this brings me to the most important piece of advice I can give you. Don't overplay in the warm-up area. If you're there for 3 hours, your kids likely, like mine, are going to want to noodle on their horn. So we when we arrive, we play for 10 or 15 minutes. We warm up, we go through our music, then we put our instruments down so they're not touching them and tempted to play them. And then the kids can go to the restroom. They can even walk around if you want them to. Most of the time, they're just going to sit there and hang out with each other. And then we fire it back up around 12:30 or 12:45, just before step off. I know that a lot of times you'll hear people playing around the square, and you'll want to join in that excitement. Just be careful that you don't get carried away. We use Beam for our music, so all of our kids have it in their phones. If you don't use Beam, what we learned several years ago is have your kids take a picture of their music right before you leave. So all their markings and all that are on there, because if you're like us, you ship your instruments on the 19th or 20th of December, and then you've got almost 2 weeks before the parade. So we always have to dust off what we're playing, and having it on the phone makes it so much easier for the kids. And that gives them a chance to really review it before step off. And just like that, it's time to go. Once the parade starts, the line moves really quickly, and it becomes not chaotic, it's very structured, but it starts to pick up really quickly. All right, let's talk about the parade itself. It's around 2 miles long, start to finish. It's all downhill. And in my experience, I always think of it as 3 very distinct legs. Each one has its own feel, its own challenges, and its own things to be aware of. So let's go through all of them. The first leg for me is Piccadilly. This is from the Ritz Hotel to Piccadilly Circus. It's long and it's straight, and it's a great way to start the parade. A couple things to know as you get started. And when you see in the video here, you can only play drum taps until you go through the inflatable arch. That's really, really important. Then you can fire it up to full drum cadence. But you're going to turn the corner. You're going to have just a little bit of time before you can start playing. You're going to pass 3 different sets of grandstands along this stretch. They're all on the right side. Like most parades, what we typically do is alternate between a cadence and then songs. But for Piccadilly, we really go out of our way to play through the grandstands. So we come up with hand signals and things to call out where we will not put a drum cadence between tunes as long as we're at a grandstand. Those folks have paid for those seats, and they like to hear the band play. Not that they don't love the drums, but we try to make sure that they get as much music as we can. I'll tell you also that if we come up on a particularly dense crowd somewhere where you'll see along the parade route, we'll sometimes play more than one song for them as well. You're not only going to get to do this a few times in your life, so you might as well enjoy it. When you come to Piccadilly Circus, you'll take a right down to Regent Street and then a left onto Pall Mall. And I think it's really, this leg is the most different of the 3 for me. There's less people on the street in some of the areas. It's still crowded in others, but it gets really strange. As you can see on the video, it gets really narrow, like really narrow on Regent Street for a minute. It's just a couple of blocks, but I think that 5 wide is the correct number. You'll watch in this video of the North Forsyth Band from 2025. They're 5 wide, and at one point you'll see somebody go by on the sidewalk. I really think it's important to be careful with your battery percussionists, especially your bass drummers. If your typical parade block is 5 across bass drums, I would encourage you to do what we all call the 5 dice, or to get them down to where there's no more than 3, because they're not going to be able to see where some of these obstructions are. Got to be really, really careful. This is a good point to kind of take a breather and alternate the playing and cadencing. There's no grandstands along this stretch all the way through Trafalgar Square. The third leg of the trip of the parade is Whitehall, which is the iconic stretch between Trafalgar Square and the Houses of Parliament. And this is a great opportunity for you as a band director and the folks that are walking the parade with you, is to get yourself in the right place to take great pictures of your kids. So for me, I always stand on the right side of the parade block, because then you can take pictures through the band with Trafalgar Square, Nelson's Column, the Lions in the background. There's a shot where you can get the London Eye in the background. There's the Cenotaph in the background. There's all sorts of great photos you can get. And just so you know, you can get Piccadilly Circus earlier the same way from the right. All the good photos on the route are from the right across to the left. And they're great backdrops, and my parents love it when I post those pictures on Facebook and Instagram for them back home. There are 2 sets of grandstands along this way. but it's simple downhill, straight as an arrow again. And then you're going to get to the end and the quiet zone. And I'm going to show you a map of the quiet zone, and we're going to talk all the way through the performance stretch next. You've made it through the route, and now the moment that your kids have been worried about and you've been worried about and everybody at home has been excited for, the performance area. I'll be honest with you, this is very different from anything we do at home on a regular basis, so it comes really fast and it's over really fast, so I want to break it down for you with as much good advice as I possibly can. Remember that your performance area is essentially just 2 lanes of road, and it has curbs on the front and back, I believe. So it can get really congested if you're trying to do too many rows front to back. And it's a lot different than a football field. And so what you're aiming to do is to be a good TV performance, not necessarily do anything exciting from a drill perspective. The official dimensions of the performance area are in the packet that you received at your roundtable meetings in London on site visit. Remember, there are no yard lines, no hash marks, no 50, no end zones, no nothing. But when you stand there and when you get involved, the center of the area is pretty obvious. It's between the 2 main grandstands. What I've done in the past is to have a drum major run out in front of the group to get to that area and mark it so that all the kids can see it. And I will also tell you that you'll have plenty of time in the staging area to identify that area with your drum major, show it to them, and make sure that they feel comfortable. Then the rest of your kids are going to feel more comfortable as they enter the space. Let's talk about getting in and out of the space. When it's your turn to enter, I would say run in. I've tried to march in, we've tried to cadence in, and it just doesn't work. That's not really the way that it's set up. It's too different from what we're used to. And it helps the audience get a little more hyped up and fired up when you run in. I think pretty much everybody last time I was there in 2025 ran in, and it was fantastic for everybody. It worked really well. The same is true for exit. Just turn right and run off, and you're good to go. When you're performing, I want to get a mindset shift for you here. This isn't really a marching band show, it's a television production. So this really, for me, is a completely separate event from the parade. It's almost like a recorded performance. And remember that people are watching you literally from around the world. This is broadcast to several continents, and the people that are watching just want to have fun and experience some joy. And my experience has been, when I go back and watch it, that the camera picks up the kids' emotions more than it picks up their tone quality. So I would lean into that. I would suggest playing things that your kids like to play, because your audience will see that. Most bands are going to move a little bit, but not much. Some stand still. Nobody that I have witnessed has really done more than 3 or 4 different stages. So the last time I was there, we did 3 what I would call drill sets. We started in our formation, woodwinds in the front, brass in the back. Then we literally passed them through, so the brass came to the front, and the woodwinds went to the back, and then we brought the guard. Then we moved everybody back and brought the guard around front for the end. Nothing technically demanding, no forms or whatever. We're really just reassembling the block in different areas, and it keeps the thing moving a little bit. Now, remember, this is important. Your drill has to be based on intervals. So when we talked about passing through the brass to the woodwinds to the front, that's because it's easy to see that alleyway. We're going to do our best to set a 4-step block, but you don't have time to mark off that 4 steps. So I would think about everything being in files is a lot easier to design. The other thing is, I would do some choreography when you're standing still, even if it's just the step 2, step 2, step 2, or if it's some simple body or choreo under what you're doing. I think that's absolutely great. It doesn't have to be 4 starches, and it doesn't have to be the latest, greatest body choreo that you've ever seen. The people at home just want to have a good time. They want to see that your kids are having a good time. Remember, you've got 90 seconds from the time you start to finish, and I would encourage you to be very intentional about the way that you do that. You don't have to be in the same block in the parade that you are in the performance area. In fact, it's a bad decision to do that, because if you're thinking about it, in the parade, your front is what we think of as the front, but when you go into the performance area, the front is actually the left side. So I think it's really important to restage, and again, you'll have plenty of time in the staging area to do that, to move whether it's your brass to the left or your woodwinds to the left or your percussion to the front or wherever you want them to be. and then be ready to run in. You got plenty of time. A lot of people ask me about color guard. You can use any equipment that you want. Just remember, you're going to have it with you from the get-go. So if you say, hey, we really want to use rifles at the end, that's great, but somebody's going to have to carry those rifles, or you're going to have a wagon for those rifles when you're down the parade route. I've done flags, full 6-foot flags. I've done swing flags. I've done pom-poms. And honestly, for me, pom-poms are easiest because they're the easiest to ship and the easiest to get where you need them to go. And so that worked out really, really well for us. But remember, that guard is what people notice. Those big flags are what people see on TV. So invest and make really good decisions when you're doing that. And then your kids, when it's over, they're going to have had 90 seconds in front of 500 million people. Pretty cool. One of the absolutely coolest parts of this whole thing is after it ends. When your kids run out of the performance area, they're going to run right into Parliament Square. They'll look up, they'll see Westminster Palace, Big Ben, Westminster Abbey, all in the same view, all for them. The bells at Westminster Abbey ring all day on New Year's Day, and it is unforgettable. Your kids just performed on international television, and now they're in this beautiful spot that many of them will ever go. Let them have a moment. Let them enjoy it. Let them soak it in. Let them be kids for just a minute. You've got 90 seconds until the next group comes out. From there, the logistics are really simple. You're going to go catty corner to the right over toward Westminster Hall, and your buses will be waiting for you. 2-3 minutes walk down the road, easy peasy, load up and go back to your hotel. I would suggest that you make the most of New Year's Day evening. For a lot of you, you'll be going home on the 2nd or on the 3rd, and the kids are going to be tired, and what they're going to want to do is go back to the hotel and veg out. But what they're going to want to remember is the things they did in London. So I will tell you that several museums are still open on New Year's Day. If you're early in the parade route, you've got plenty of time to go see those. There's plenty of shops open. It's a great chance to do shopping. Lots of restaurants open. I think the London Eye runs all day, which is an amazing chance to do that. A lot of folks do that, I think, on New Year's Eve night. The city's still alive, and your kids just did something amazing. Let's let them make a really great memory to that. I want to leave you with this. I've taken a lot of band trips, and if I'm honest with you, the performance is often secondary to the travel. The festival rating or a clinic or a seminar or whatever, they matter, but they're not what kids remember. This is different. I've had a ton of kids come back from the London Parade and tell me that the parade itself, not the trip, the actual parade, was one of their favorite experiences. I've had kids tell me that this trip and that experience launched them into a lifetime of travel. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for your kids. I'd say treat it that way. Hype it up. Tell your community. Make sure it's being carried on your local public broadcasting network. Tell your parents where to find it online. Get your kids excited. Get your parents excited. Get yourself excited. Get your admin excited. Get your city, get your mayor excited. Get anybody you can excited about it. I have a dear friend that has a phrase that he uses, and he tells his kids, just go out there and make a memory. And that's exactly what you're doing. Your kids will absolutely reflect your energy and your excitement for the event that you bring, you'll see come back to you from them. I really hope this video has been helpful to you as you prepare for your trip. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Teresa or your consultant representative will have my contact information, and they can hook us up anytime. Have fun in London. I hope your kids have an amazing experience.